Thank you for watching the replay. So I am going to go outside. Hi, how are you? Welcome. In case some of you are new on here, I've been reading this book called The Heart of Yoga. You can find the link on my blog on boxedge.org if you are interested in developing your personal practice, which is what I'm working on right now. And in the back, there are the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So I've already read the first chapter, the first chapter you can find on my catch. But today I decided we'll go ahead and start the second chapter. And it's so beautiful outside with the full moon that I'm going to go ahead and take you outside so that you can look at the full moon while I read it. So I have my headset on, so I'm hoping that it'll make it easier to hear outside. Can you hear me okay? I'm like totally bundled up, and I don't want to flip the camera so that it doesn't get all weird. And the best possible viewing of the moon will work, but I'll flip it around really quick because you're going to laugh at me. Okay, good. Look, this is my outfit. Woo! Fancy, right? I have 2 pairs of pajamas on right now because it's like probably, I don't know, like 40 degrees or something outside, and I'm a Florida girl, so that's like kind of crazy. All right, I'm going to set you down for like just a second so that I can go outside. And shout out to Sean for making this suggestion. I'm also doing it because I heard that it is good to set your stones out for like, where is the moon? There it is. I heard that it's good to like cleanse your stones in the moonlight, and I should have showed you this inside, but I have a bracelet. You won't be able to see it. I have a bracelet from the Will to Wow, and I decided I might as well take it off while I'm reading this stuff so that, I'm sorry if it's like flipping like all sorts of crazy directions. Alright, I think it'll be okay here. Hopefully. I won't be able to see any comments at all, but that's okay. Increase your energy too, I think. Yeah, I figured it would be really nice to do this reading outside. So I won't be able to see any comments until after I do the reading, so it's totally cool if you don't want to sit here and listen to it, but I'll just be reading straight from the book. I don't think I'm going to read the Sanskrit because it's just too choppy still, but I'll tell you what chapter each thing is on, so that way you know what I'm reading, and slowly but surely I'll learn how to read the Sanskrit too. And I'm going to take off my bracelet and I'll start reading in just a minute. We'll just go over like maybe like 4 or 5 pages. Okay. It's like so cold. Alright, my bracelet is down. I've got my blanket and all of my layers on. You're sitting on top of my car right now. Alright. And I'm hoping that my headlight doesn't make too much light pollution. So I'm going to kind of face away from where the phone is technically. Actually, nope, I won't be able to read it. I'm going to read it with the red light that I think it's there for like if you were living on a beach for the turtles. So I love that. Okay. So chapter 2 of the Yoga Sutras is called Sadhanapada. It describes the qualities necessary to change the mind effectively and gradually from a state of distraction to one of attention, and why these qualities are important and what the practice of them entails. So chapter 2.1. The practice of yoga must reduce both physical and mental impurities. It must develop our capacity for self-examination and help us to understand that in the final analysis, we are not the masters of everything we do. If the practice of yoga does not help us to remove the symptoms and causes of our physical and mental problems, it cannot lead us on to discovering our inner being and does not lead us to understanding the nature and quality of actions. In such circumstances, the practices will be of doubtful validity. The more we refine ourselves through yoga, the more we realize that all our actions need to be re-examined systematically, and we must not take the fruits of our actions for granted. Chapter 2.2. Then such practices will be certain to remove obstacles to clear perception. We are all inherently capable of clear perception, but something or the other frequently seems to come in its way. What sort of things are they? Chapter 2.3. The obstacles are misapprehensions, confused values, excessive attachments, unreasonable dislikes, and insecurity. 2.4. The following sutra explains the interrelationships between the above obstacles. Misapprehension is the source of all the other obstacles. They need not appear simultaneously, and their impact varies. Sometimes they are obscure and barely visible. At other times they are exposed and dominant. It is only when they are completely exposed that the effects of these obstacles are evident to other people, although not necessarily to the individual concerned. 2.5. The following sutras describe the 5 obstacles listed above. Misapprehension leads to errors in comprehension of the character, origin, and effects of the objects perceived. What at one time may appear to be great help, later turns out to be a problem. What we seek as a source of pleasure may turn out to have the opposite effect. Fool's gold is assumed to be gold. Things that must change, like the beauty of youth, may be considered everlasting. What might be considered as the most important learning may, in time, prove useless. False identity results when we regard mental activity as the very source of perception. Mental attitudes and activities change. They modify themselves according to influences such as moods, habits, and surroundings. Yet somehow we often assume that they are a constant, unchanging source of perception. 2.7. Excessive attachment is based on the assumption that will contribute to everlasting happiness. When an object satisfies a desire, it provides a moment of happiness. Because of this experience, the possession of objects can become very important, even indispensable, whatever the cost. The result may be future unhappiness and the loss of some essentials of life. 2.8. Unreasonable dislikes are usually the result of painful experiences in the past connected with particular objects and situations. These dislikes continue to persist even after the circumstances that caused the unpleasant experiences have changed or disappeared. 2.9. Insecurity is the inborn feeling of anxiety for what is to come. It affects both the ignorant and the wise. This syndrome may have a reasonable base in the past experiences. It may be completely irrational. It does not disappear even when we know that death is imminent. It is perhaps the most difficult obstacle to overcome. (2.10) Having described the obstacles that prevent clear perception, Patanjali indicates what should be the attitude of one who is keen to reduce them. When the obstacles do not seem to be present, it is important to be vigilant. A temporary state of clarity should not be confused with a permanent state. To assume then that everything will be free from now on can be fraught with danger. It is now even more important to be careful. The fall from clarity to confusion is more disturbing than a state with no clarity at all. 2.11 When there is evidence that obstacles are reappearing, however, immediately, advance towards a state of reflection to reduce their impact and prevent them from taking over. Any means that will help us free ourselves from the consequences of these obstacles is acceptable. It could be a prayer, a discussion with a teacher, or a diversion. Patanjali has suggested a number of means in the first chapter 1.23 and 1.30 through 39, and more follow. 2.12 What should we be so concerned about why should we be so concerned about these obstacles? Our actions and their consequences are influenced by these obstacles. These consequences may or may not be evident at the time of the action. These obstacles are based in the mind and in the body as well. All our actions emanate from them. Those actions that are initiated when obstacles are dominant will certainly produce undesirable results, for the obstacles are based on misapprehension. When we mistake what we see, the conclusions drawn from what we see must be incorrect. The next sutra goes into this further. 2.13 As long as the obstacles prevail, they will affect action in every respect. It is in execution, its duration, and its consequences. Obstacles may lead to the faulty execution of actions. They may influence our mental attitude during the process of taking actions and perhaps reduce or extend their time span. And finally, the fruits of actions may be such that they contribute to existing problems or create new ones. I think I'm going to stop there for tonight because that's a lot to review. There's so much going on in just those few pages that I feel we should reflect on those first. It didn't take me very long to read that, so I'm going to keep the camera facing the moon, and you can either turn this off if you're watching the replay or if you're here. I cannot see any comments, but I just kind of want to go back to each of those and kind of think about them because there's a lot of obstacles in my life that I can associate to these ideas, and maybe they will help you by me talking through them. So the first one was talking about how we must develop a capacity of self-examination, and we are not the masters of everything we do, which is a very hard one for me because I definitely like to be in control of every situation, and the more and more that I develop my yoga practice, I realize more and more how I do not have any control over anything whatsoever, and it's frightening. It can be scary, but it's also freeing because instead of always just feeling like so stressed out because of decisions that I feel that I have to make, I'm less, because now I just feel like